And we are rolling on November 29th, where our good friend Song, also known as Young Song, is going to present an impromptu speech on the following topic. Facts are stubborn things. An English proverb.
Hello everyone, my name is Young.
Hi, Young.
Hi, Young.
Okay, let me begin with what I did last weekend. So, Amazon sells 26,800 different kinds of desk lamps. And I know this because I spent last weekend to buy one of them for my room. However, after reading countless of product details and reviews, I just decided to buy one at Office Depot. Too many choices sometimes exhaust us, leading us to avoid from making such decision at all. I have 3 reasons why we should always make wise decisions. First, effort never betrays. Second, bad decisions bring regrets. Third, decisions shape who we are. And I'd like to show how its outcome can be changed based on the proverb, facts are stubborn things, by giving 3 examples to illustrate the process. So let's imagine Cindy, a college student, studies midterm exam in an overcrowded library. While rubbing her heavy eyes for a moment, she questions if she should just take a nap, but the pressure that she might fail motivates her to stay up for another hour. As her resume was rejected by a local hospital, her plan of having summer internship is uncertain. With anxiety about the future, same days go by one after the other, questioning if she is really born under a lucky star. My first example is a college student. Since we're young, we've been busy going to school every day, studying more than 12 hours a week. Starting off with tennis Monday, choir Tuesday, book report Wednesday. We've been busy going to school every day. Would that make us compatible to attain a better job in the future? Yes, of course. If we decide to take full advantage of our time and money, we will achieve what we have desired for. Nevertheless, some of us cheat, copy homework, plagiarize papers, or download some cheat sheets from the internet. We may find ourselves maintaining high GPA. However, we should realize that cheating in school affects the rest of our lives. The biggest effect is that we become incompetent in our field due to lack of knowledge, as we have chosen not to learn at first place. In fact, it affects our personal lives, as cheating in school shows our ethics have limit. Based on integrity policies, if we're caught, then our chances of pursuing advanced degrees are greatly impacted. There's Korean etymology, 꼬리가 길면 밟힌다, which literally means all the wrong deeds will be caught in the end. An evil deed will be discovered sometime or later, but it only takes time. While most of us have goals to achieve, some of us sink into despondency when we look back and realize it was not worth aiming for, leading to my second example, lottery prize winners. According to National Endowment of Financial Education, about 70% of lottery winners who suddenly receive a prize by winning a lottery lose it within a few years. Jeb Whittaker, a lottery prize winner in 2002 in West Virginia, said on his interview with Time that he should have just torn the ticket up when he had the chance. His life was full of legal and personal problems after winning the lottery. Winning the lottery. His money was stolen several times. He committed crimes such as forging a check, associating in illegal gambling, and using physical violence. In fact, his granddaughter was found dead in 2004 due to overuse of drugs. Many lottery winners have divorced, commit suicide, or become bankrupt since their lives wander aimlessly. Unfortunately, too much money hindered them to focus on other problems. With sudden wealth, they did not care about their family members and neglected their duties and responsibilities as family members. Duties as a family member. However, the fact that they're someone's mother, father, son or daughter, husband or wife did not change. We should live life best at any given position. No matter what is given, we should stay awake because the fact who we are does not change. My third example is cases of fraud and misconduct prevailing in our society. We still see quite a number of police officers who abuse their power. In Nairobi, Kenya, about 20 to 40% of innocent prisoners are held in abusive pretrial detention. Joseph Mushuka was an ordinary man who lived in Nairobi, Kenya. While he was sleeping in his store, he suddenly heard a riot outside. As soon as he walked out, he was shot by one of the protesters and brought to the hospital. He was placed next to the police officer who was also shot by gun. However, when suddenly the police officer realized that his gun was stolen, he started to accuse Joseph. The officer arrested Joseph, charging with violence, with robbery, without any investigation or evidence. Joseph was victimized. However, after 10 years, Joseph was freely discharged from jail and officially set free. Since he did not commit any crimes, the fact did not change. As he would.
That's time.
Did not change. Can I summarize?
Summarize. Yeah.
In summary, I've given 3 examples to easily explain the proper facts or stubborn things. We have finals next week, and I hope we all manage to make wise decision for us to ace exams. Thank you.
Thank you. Song, we're going to go quickly through these since we have a lot to get to, but what I needed to have happen was for you to have a little intro about something followed by a segue into your question, which was facts are stubborn things. And it would have been helpful to have a definition of what a fact is and why they're stubborn things, and to sort of say what the proverb means. Right? And it relates to the idea that a fact is a fact and it won't go away, and you can wiggle around things, but if a fact is a fact and you can yell and scream and cry and freak out, but a fact is a fact and it's a stubborn thing and it won't go away, you're in trouble. And no more is it seen in the criminal courts system where they have a trier of the fact with the jurors, that do this. So frankly, I didn't see your 3 examples as pertinent to facts or stubborn things. I saw them as just examples of something, but not as facts, as stubborn things, okay? So that's what I needed to see, the linkage to facts being stubborn things, okay? Thank you. Okay, that brings us to Ashrafal. Okay, Ashrafal.
Here are my topics. I emailed you.
Oh, you didn't choose out of this thing?
I did, and
Oh, I
then
see.
I gave you a list, and then you said to pick the third bank.
The third bank. Okay. Any mother? Any mother could. All right, we'll find this. There, I found it. Okay, there you are. Okay. And you go by Ash, right?
Yes.
Okay, great, Ash. How you doing today? Good. All right. Huh. Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's hear you speak of topic number 2. You cannot shake hands with a clenched fist. And that was said by Indira Gandhi. You cannot shake hands with a clenched fist. Written by Indira Gandhi. Thank you, Shamali.
You're welcome.
Okay. And we are rolling.
Hi, I'm Ash.
Hi, Ash.
How many of you have tried to make peace with someone who is already angry? Right? You go up to someone and you're feeling peaceful, but you go and you try to talk to them, but they're so angry that they don't even want to see you. So usually it's a good idea to go and come back when both parties are feeling peaceful. My proverb is, you cannot shake hands with a clenched fist. To me, this proverb means that if you cannot make peace if you do not let go of your anger. I have 3 stories. I want to share with you 3 stories that support the proverb, you cannot shake hands with a clenched fist. My first story has to do with a coworker I was training. My second story has to do with an angry student that I was tutoring, and my third story has to do with a fight that I had with my sibling over a phone charger. So for the first story, for the first story, when I was in community college, I worked at a chemistry lab, and one day I was told to train a new coworker, and I had to show him how to set up this experiment. And I went up to him and I explained to him, like, hey, this is how you do it. And I showed him how to do it, and he told me that he understood. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna allow you to do this, and I'm gonna go and do something else. And I go for maybe about 20 minutes, and I come back to check on him, and I see my supervisor talking to him. And my supervisor looks at me really angry, and he's getting mad at me because he messed up the experiment. And this was an experiment where if you messed up, you have to start the whole thing over again. You're wasting material and all this. And he gets very angry at me, and obviously I'm angry because I asked him, like, do you understand this? And he told me he did, and it turns out he didn't. And as I was angry, I was thinking about what the best way to deal with this was, and I knew that I had to get along with him. He is a coworker, and I'm going to be seeing him every day. And for me, what I thought the best solution would be was for me to calm down and go talk to him. So so after I took a few minutes to gather myself, I went and I talked to him, and as I was talking to him, he was very apologetic. He was telling me how sorry he was. He should have asked more questions, and all the things that he did wrong. And after that, we became very good friends, and we were able to work together very well. If I had gone to him in an angry manner and he was angry, I'm sure that situation would have gone a lot differently. My second story has to do with me tutoring an angry student. So when I was in community college, I was a chemistry tutor. And how this would work was I would be in this room where two students, and this was a free tutoring service, students would come in and they would ask me for help. And one day an angry student comes in, and an angry student comes in, and it's a group setting, so I'm tutoring a few people, and he's being very belligerent, where he's yelling at people and really not being nice. And it's just me tutoring like maybe 6-7 people, so I have to make sure everything's going well. This guy is just really being obnoxious, and my first thought was, you know what, he needs to leave. And because he was making me angry, and I was about to ask him to leave, but then I thought, he is a free tutoring service. He came here because he needs help. So I calmed myself down and I talked to him, and I was asking him like, hey, like, is something like, what's wrong? And and then he starts telling me, about how he was having a bad day, how he failed his exam, and he really needed help, and how everything was just getting to him. And I was just talking to him, and then I just comforted him and helped him feel a little better. And after a while, he joined the team, joined the group, and we were all tutoring and having a good time, and everyone learned. If I were to get mad and just eject him, he probably wouldn't have come back for help anymore. And that would have been bad for him and possibly bad for us. My third example of this is a fight I had with a sibling over a phone charger. Like a few weeks ago, we go to watch a movie, and we're on the drive back. There was about 4 or 5 of us in the car, and everyone's phone was dead. And one of my siblings was able to get the portable charger first. And she is charging her phone, and she decides that she is not, even though everyone's phone is dying, she is not going to let anyone else use the charger until her phone is 100% charged. Obviously, I was extremely mad, like, hey, that is extremely unreasonable. You're being a brat. So the first thing I got extremely mad, and I was just like giving her attitude and just not being nice to her at all. After a while, I started thinking, like, what do I really want? I want the charger. Right? Like, I don't want, to be angry and stuff. What do I really want? So what I do is I started thinking, what's the best way to get this? And I decided the best thing for me to do was to calm down, try to calm her down, and to try to be friends so I could get the charger. So I started talking to her, and I started calming her down, telling her it's fine. I'll give it back to her if she needs it. And eventually she gave it to me, and we became friends. And we were friends, and everyone's phone was charged. So. If I had acted the other way and I tried to confront her with anger, I probably wouldn't have got the phone charger, and no one would have got anything. In summary, I have described to you 3 stories in which it was not able to shake hands with a clenched fist. Thank you.
Well, gosh. Ash, let me talk to you about your speech. It was much better in that you clearly defined the question, and you said what the proverb meant, and you said that you agreed with it, and you were going to give 3 examples of where it was true. So that was helpful and good. I would have liked you to have had a significant statement to say, to follow the 7-part outline, to say, this is really important because if we all want to get along with each other, we need to learn to chill and not be angry and not come at people with clenched fists. And I'd like to see you much more use this clenched fist phrase in your rhetoric and return to it at the end of each part of your story. See, that would have really brought it home. Your first example of training a fella in the chem lab that didn't go well, and then you got in trouble because you screwed it up, but then you went and talked to him without a clenched fist, and it worked out, was good. The second one about the student tutors, same concept, And the same with the phone charger, where you manipulated your sister into giving you the phone charger. And because, you weren't going to say, come on, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. And clenched fist clearly wasn't going to get it. So you realize that this isn't a good strategy. Now, what you're going to see when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, Ash, is we needed a summary that was a little more detailed, so I've given you 3 examples: my training in the chem lab, my student tutor, and my phone charger. There should be no doubt in this room. You cannot shake hands with a clenched fist, and then a tie back to your introduction. Okay? Other than that, nice job. Thank you.
Professor, Rachel and Ashley here? You guys probably just forgot to sign in, but you guys presented.
Yeah, you you were on their list, they were there, they can just get their names scratched out. Yeah, okay.
Because I thought this one was the ones who weren't here, so I don't want you guys to get in trouble.
Oh, no.
No, they're not in trouble. This is just, this is the order.
We're still on the good list. Oh, yeah, don't worry.
Peter, move to the front. Yeah.
Oh, here, I finished.
Just a minute. Yeah, keep it back there. Keep it back there.
Back there?
Yeah, for the late arrivals.
Yeah, did you go?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so you're seeing the side.
That one up there. Because I was like, Ashley, they were going to be for us.
Oh, no, we were here.
They just ran out of space.
They just ran out of space.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Thank you, Al. Where are you?
Oh, it's James, where are you? Oh, yeah, James was supposed to be there.
Did you not sign in last week?
No, right. I know you're not saying that. You did go last week.
Professor, is the sign-in sheet with you?
Is this that?
Oh my God, someone already late?
Sorry.
Only 2 ahead of me. I thought you go.
Okay. What is your name?
Peter.
Peter Massian. Are you on here somewhere? Yeah.
I just saw him.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Quiet, please.
If anyone has any more assignments to turn in, like evaluation forms or
Okay. Peter is going to speak.
Do you want me to write it for you?
Please.
How many?
five.
Yeah.
You've been deposed.
Like, go write it. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I needed to get up. I have too much energy right now.
I know.
I like your whole UCLA attire. Yeah, you're
Really?
decked out.
Really chill.
Okay, all right, I'm going to hear topic number 2 from Confucius, who said, music perfects one's personality. I repeat, music perfects one's personality. Why are you kicking me?
Sorry.
Go. Just wondered.
IUS?
T-I-O-U. No. I-U-S. Yeah. I was right. There you go.
You need more time?
I think I saw it.
There's a silent T in there.
Oh, I remember.
Okay, I'm ready, Peter. Peter stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect, finding friendly eyes, feel the front and center, say your name, feel the love. start your speech.
Hello everyone, I'm Peter.
Hi, Peter.
And today I'm going to address the proverb by Confucius, music perfects one's personality. So just before I dive into my speech, I want to give a little background on Confucius. I'm sure we've heard before. But Confucius is a Chinese philosopher with the original name of Kong Kui. Was born in 551 BC in China. So, my proverb today was that music perfects one's personality. And to start off, I want to say that we all know how universally applicable music is, you know. On a daily basis, it's listened to. And regardless of race, culture, ethnicity, it's part of our entire international universal culture. And we can all relate to music. So, when you're having a great day, you know, music brings you up. When you're having a bad day, music brings you down. And that's for a reason. It's because that your personality and music go hand in hand. And in a sense, you become dependent on it. And you become one with it. So today I want to talk about music perfecting one's personality. And I want to give 3 personal stories of mine that will help give you share an experience of mine that relates directly to this proverb. So why is this important, you may be wondering? Well, like I said before, music is in everyone's lives. It's universally applicable, regardless of race and color. I mean, we all listen to music. When we're partying and we're happy, we listen to music. When we're sad, and an experience I have regarding a lost one, and when you're grieving and you listen to sad music, you get more sad. Why is this? It's a universal question of why music does this. And so I'm going to dive in and give you my 3 personal experiences and examples of why music does this, and why music becomes one with your personality, and your personality becomes one with music. So my first experience was, I was in college, and I came out with an A on my test. And I'm driving home, and I'm sitting in stop, bumper to bumper, 2 hours of traffic to get to Porter Ranch where I live. And you know, I listen to music. And the traffic just went blank to me, because I'm in my own realm. My true feelings of the happiness that I got from my test translated with the music and just enlightened and enhanced my true personality and feelings and emotions at the time. It's a very inspiring phenomenon, and I'm sure we've all experienced it. So I like to say my second reason, or my second experience that I personally had, is last year whenever I lost my uncle. And it was a very, very sad time for all of us, and the entire family was grieving. And I had found out when I was once more leaving school, and it was a very, like, it hurt me to my core, and I said, you know, let me get my mind off and listen to some music. And once I listened to that music, it brought me down. And usually music brings you up, but there's music that brings you down. It's counterintuitive and it works vice versa. And my true feelings and emotions at the time were loss and grievance, and just listening to sadder music crashed me down even further. And on a happier note, my third experience that I can share to you guys is I was studying and I started listening to classical music. And I know everybody's heard listening to classical music helps you, but it truly does. Because in that realm, in that focus that you are, your true personality and your true emotions and feelings are, you know, you're focused, you're sharp, you're on the edge. And that classical music enhances and enlightens those feelings. So I think we can all relate, and we can all have a personal experience on how music has actually perfected our personality, regardless of if it was good or bad. So in summary, I've shown you 3 personal experiences or 3 stories that's dear to me that has shown music and portrayed music as being this very powerful tool and element that can perfect your personality regardless of how you're feeling. So in conclusion, there should be no doubt in this room that we all can have an experience relating to music and how it has brought us either up or down. Now, to end the speech and to tie this back would be to say that in the beginning I said how universal this is, and how universally applicable it is. You know, we listen to other genres of music. We don't even listen to our own cultural music all the time. And it's the powerful element of music that helps us and perfects us, and truly what we're feeling at the time gets enhanced through the power of music. In a sense, that music is like alcohol, minus the liver damage, of course. It brings us up and it takes us down, and we in fact become dependent on it on a daily basis. So, with that, I'd like to end the speech. Thank you so much.
Thank you. 437. Peter, you came pretty close to getting at the meaning of a really tough quote. but I'm not sure you got there, and you had 2.5 minutes to use still, so you could have had more detail in there. You talked about the universal aspect of music, and you gave us 3 personal examples that you gave. That the quote said that music perfects one's personality, and I guess that assumes that there's some kind of defect in the personality, that music comes in and improves it or enhances something. And so I guess that's how you're using it, right? So when you said you live in Porter Ranch and you got an A on a test, but you had a lot of traffic, you said that, gosh, the music made you forget the traffic. Now, how did that perfect your personality? Because your personality was perfect, you didn't mind the traffic. Is that the perfection?
No, the perfection was the actual test score, and I got it, and I was extremely happy. And
oh, I see. Your A was perfection.
it was.
And how did that relate to music?
Music was what I was listening to car on the way back, and how that was my actual personality, emotion, and feeling at the current time. And all it did was enhance that feeling. And what I'm trying to say that what music perfects a personality is that we all have different shades to our personality. We all adapt, and we don't have one fixed personality. So what music does is that music is also the same. It changes, it adapts, and it just goes hand in hand. Your personality gets enhanced by music, and music gets enhanced by people. So it just goes hand in hand.
Okay, and your lost uncle, you said you took it the opposite way, and you said you listened to sad music, and I was wondering how that perfected your personality, because that was a perfect experience. Is that?
It was a perfect sad experience, if that makes sense.
Perfect sad experience.
It was that I was grieving and in loss, and what the music did is heightened and like it just made you crash more. And it just goes hand in hand. You know, listening to music with your current state of personality, state of being, is just, I feel it goes hand in hand, and personally related to my experience. That was the first thing that triggered to me.
Okay, we got to move on. Classical music, explain that. How that perfects one's
classical
personality.
music, classical music perfecting the personality. And when you're studying, your focus, your personality isn't, oh, let me dress this way to impress someone. It's let me focus on the matter at hand. And what classical music did for me is that personality and that mentality that I had studying, it just enlightened that personality once more. And it increased edginess and sharpness.
I see. Okay, good. Okay, I think I got your argument now that you had additional time to explain it. And you had all the parts, and that was pretty good too. So, thank you, Peter.
Do you want me to write it fast?
Okay. Wow. We're on Moses, right? Okay. Yeah. Let's stay with Confucius, since we seem to be stuck on him here. So let's look at your first quote, which says, "The humane are never worried. The humane are never worried." And that was by Confucius.
Begin,
please.
How's everyone doing?
Good. How are you feeling?
A little nervous. I never worry, so I should not worry.
Okay, begin, please.
I'm sorry?
Begin.
Oh.
I started the clock 19 seconds ago. You want me to restart it?
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Moses.
Hi, Moses.
Hope everyone feels good. Today I'm going to discuss with you guys about the quote from Confucius saying that the humane are never worried. So this quote from Confucius talks about our mental state. And it is quite interesting that all philosophers in our human history, either from the West or either from the East, all talked about the importance of our mental state. It is partly because, according to Confucius, Aristotle, and other great philosophers, that our mind, our soul, and our body are closely interconnected. So if one is damaged, the other two, either his body, our soul, or our mind, are also damaged. So it's really important for us to think about how our mental state is, how our body and our mind are closely working together. So since this is my last speech, I thought that, and since this is a proverb, I thought that what is a better way to discuss than talk about my own personal story and see how everybody can see the reflection from that. So after my freshman year, I went back to Korea to serve in the military for 2 years. After my military service, I got out. I was so excited to go back to UCLA and see my friends from my freshman year and all that. But my parents told me that I could not go back to school because of our financial situation. Ever since 2008, our family was declining, and we reached the point that our debts were so huge that we couldn't pay for tuition anymore. I was really frustrated, and I was really sad, and I got really anxious to tell my friends, hey, I cannot go back to school because we're broke. And I started working, 24/7, and I was making about $2,000 to $3,000. But then the debt was so huge that we were only able to pay the interest, not the debt itself. And I remember one day I went to church, and in the car I was with my mom, and my mom asked me, "Hey Moses, I'm so thankful that you're working for family, but I really want to start praying." And I was like, "Mom, what do you mean? Like, why should I pray? You know, like our family is in a hard situation, and you're asking me to pray." And my mom was like, "Yeah, you're working so hard, but I'm worried that you're becoming less happy and less grateful." So I was like, "All right, Mom." And from that day, like I really started praying. And couple months later, we eventually were able to work things out. And we were able to deal with the situation. And then now I'm here at UCLA, came back and is studying with my friends and just enjoying my life. But that prayer was really important, not because like I believe that God answered my prayer, but what prayer did to me is that it really made me not worry about things. So I was not anxious, I was not frustrated, but I just say, "Hey God, like okay, you're my God, and I just let you control my life." And when I just say that word, it really comforts me and really makes me not worry about my future anymore. So it really helped me to calm myself and really focus on what is in the situation and it deals with the situation rather than being worried, being sad, and being frustrated. So I want you to point out 3 things from my personal story. Why is it important? Why the humane are never worried? Worrying doesn't fix. The first point is that the worrying doesn't fix anything. Have you ever ran into a situation when you got so frustrated, when you're so anxious, but worrying doesn't really help anything? You can worry about your job application. You can worry about the future interview. You can worry about your financial situation, but then worrying itself will not going to fix anything. For me, I was so frustrated. I was so anxious. But then it was my hard work and it was my family's love that really helped me getting out of this and to deal with the situation. The second point I want to make is that worrying actually does more damage to you. Because as I pointed out in my intro, because our mind, our body, our souls are so closely interconnected, if you are so worried, if you're so frustrated, it actually causes damage to your body and it damages your soul. Peter just gave us great speech about the music, how music help us perfect our personality. But it's little. But yeah, so it is because our all things are so interconnected. If you're worrying too much, that actually does your damage. My last point I want to make is that if you stop worrying, if you're in the state of humaneness, you will have more time. You will have more. You will have more time, and you will be able to focus on the matters at your hand better. If you stop worrying and start using this time and utilize that like time and space to deal with the situation, to fix the problem, and then to make it better, you will actually be able to help yourself and get you out of that difficulties. So from my own personal story, I just present why this statement, "the humane are never worried," is really important to us. So if you are in this hard situation, if you are currently in and facing these difficulties, remember this statement that humane are never worried. It will going to help you out of the situation. It will help you to deal with the situation better and eventually be the better person. Thank you.
Thank you very much. $5.59. Moses, your quote, "the humane are never worried," needed to be first defined. We needed to know what you meant by humane. And who are the humane? What is it about them that allows them not to worry? See?
Yeah.
So that would have been helpful to always say what the quote means and do any definitional work early on.
Yeah.
Didn't have a preview of where you were going or what you were going to do, so we didn't get that. Your story of your family was interesting, of losing your money, and your mother wanted you to pray, and I guess I was trying to tie that into humane and righteousness and not worrying because you were praying, I guess. So your second reason was the worrying didn't fix anything. It was your hard work that fixed the problem. So I thought that was a good insight. Didn't get a summary, a conclusion, or a tie back. So wanted to still keep the format of the storytelling in the format of telling a story about the humane never worry and giving 2 or 3 examples of different humane people that didn't have to worry. Was Gandhi humane? Did he not have to worry when he was faced with a lot of crisis? Was Martin Luther King humane? Did he not have to worry? Was Jesus humane? In a lot of ways you could have gone on this. Anyway, you did a nice job. Thank you. Okay, that'll bring us to...
No, right here. Yes, please.
Is that Canna? Is that... Oh, that's an R. Oh, sorry. Karina. Karina. There you are. Okay, good. Okay, gosh, here we are again with Confucius. So let's talk about Confucius again. He said the wise are never perplexed. The wise are never perplexed. The wise are never perplexed. The wise are never perplexed.
What stuff? Yeah. And then explore, I Or did Flora already go?
She's upstairs.
No, no, but did she go?
Rock and roll.
So then there's like one more room.
Give you a date.
Thank you. Thank you. 5:51 begin.
Hello, my name is Karina.
Hi, Karina.
Okay, so the whys are never perplexed. I decided to analyze this quote on my personal experiences and and things that I've experienced throughout life and that have, I think, shaped who I am today. The three reasons are the whys are always happy and never afraid. And the second reason is the more experience you have, the more entitled someone is to teach others. And the third, the whys are never confused and always sure of themselves. So the first one, the whys are always happy and never afraid or anxious. The example I thought of was the attitude in the laborers I witnessed when I was working in agriculture fields. So despite the long hours and backbreaking labor, I noticed how these people always found a way to manage their day and be happy. It shows how their happiness is related to being wise, even if their job title isn't very skilled or they don't have like
They're in the power stance,
or they didn't get an education. Another form that wisdom that the wise are never perplexed is an example that I saw while navigating through Facebook. And Shamali posted a video online, one of those meme videos, and it showed how there's this guy who it seemed like he was going through hell, but he was happy as he was going through it. So it shows that his wisdom it shows that he's wise and after like all he's probably been through and happy at the end. The second reason is the more experience you have, the more entitled you are to teach others. So while I was working in the fields, my mom was also working with me. The reason I took this job is because I wanted to experience what people in my community go through in order to make ends meet. And I originally didn't think I would learn all these things, but I learned how people I felt like I learned a lot of valuable lessons, such as learning how to get through the day even after you've experienced so many things, from emotional to physical stress. And I feel that my mom was entitled to teach me because she's been working in the fields for about 30 years of her life. And the third reason is that the whys are never confused and always confident. In this example, I also want to talk about my mom and how she would taught me how to work in the fields, because I remember that at the beginning I wasn't confident when I was working like the plants and plowing the weeds, and so my mom said that with more experience and time I was eventually going to start doing that labor with more confidence. And at the beginning I was slow, and as time passed by I was up to speed to everybody else, and she taught me how to be confident in that aspect. And lastly, I just wanted to say that the whys are never perplexed.
Okay, thank you. That was 403. Karina, as I've said to others, it's helpful in the beginning and in doing all these when you have some prep time, especially you have a day or a week to prep, is to look up some definitions and to say what wise means. What does it mean to be wise? Who is wise? And what does it mean to be perplexed? I think we know that we have a pretty good working definition of what it means to be perplexed, kind of be out of sorts and not sure, but who's wise, you know. So that would have perhaps given the speech a little better focus. But you gave 3 examples of where people that weren't perplexed, and I think they were a little bit of a stretch, but you gave them nonetheless. And I would have liked a summary of them, conclusion and tie back, but you got it done. Thank you. Okay, next is Melissa Garcia.
I already went.
Isabel. Lauren. James. Rachel. Ashley. Shamalee. Hey, who spelled your name? Okay, good. Shamalee with an E.
Nope. Thank God. Get acclimated to the area. In the house.
There you are. Okay.
I slept 1 hour last night.
Telling a story, making us wise. We've also heard criticism on other ones. Is that?
Don't think about it. You're right. You should be like a.
Okay. Shh, quiet. Okay, we're going to have a quote by Gloria Steinem. And Gloria wrote, shh, quiet please, the first problem for all of us, men and women, the first problem for all of us, men and women, is not to learn.
This is long.
Yeah.
Women. Yeah.
Is not to learn, comma.
Is
I was just gonna walk out and get a drink. That's bold.
Not to learn, but to unlearn. Breaking my table. But to unlearn, and that's by Gloria Steinem, spelled Steinem. Okay, we good? Okay, get in your brown dealio. Yeah. Shamali stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally. Finding friendly eyes, you're in the front and center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shamali.
Hi, Shamali.
So, for this specific quote, Gloria was actually talking about social biases and how we perceive different genders. So, in order to move forward and make progress, we need to unlearn what we've grown up learning. Because I think this applies to anything in life. When we're born, we're a blank slate, right? A blank canvas. And as we go through life, we start formulating opinions over who we are, who others are, right and wrong. So when we're applying this to bigger issues like social biases with regards to gender, we need to start deconstructing some of those mental maps that we've created in order to perceive the world in a different way. So I'm going to address this topic with 3 different stories from my own life and experiences that depict how, in order to move forward in an open perspective and make the most that we can out of life, we need to deconstruct some of these perceptions that we have and unlearn, essentially, what we have learned. The first one that I'm going to talk about is an experience from the good old days back when I was a scrawny young person and got bullied. And then the next one is actually from when I was in India for some time, and it was a story by this Swami there, he gave a beautiful illustration of religious prejudices and how we have to unlearn some of the things that we've learned through life. And the last story that I will talk about is from when I was a competitive figure skater and talking about the technique in skating, that you have to unlearn bad technique in order to move forward. So this virtually applies to all aspects of life. So, my first point is back in the day when I was a figure skater. I started skating from 6 all the way till I was 18. And I was about to go to the 2014 Olympics, but I tore all the ligaments in my right ankle. And which was tragic, but not the point of today's speech. So back when I skated, I remember, I lived in Dallas, Texas, which is the very conservative Republican Baptist belt. Everyone has, well, not everyone, but the majority of people have very squared perspectives of viewing life. And my parents were 2 hippies who came from Argentina, vegetarians. They gave me a Sanskrit name. I was into Eastern philosophy, so I couldn't have been the more polar opposite of everything that Texas represented. I was like the antithesis, and going through the teenage years trying to find my place and being that in a place where I was the black sheep was difficult, to say the least. So I remember all the girls there, they would be like, oh, she's the weird one, the veggie, because I was a vegetarian. Which I guess it didn't really bother me that much because I was either oblivious or had thick skin, I don't know. But the point is that those girls, from such a young age, they already had such a clear sense of what was strange, what was normal. They, through life and their parents teaching them, learned and had this little perception. And anything that deviated out of their little world or their bubble that they knew, they considered weird. So this applies perfectly to, if we're going to start accepting people who are different from us, we have to start unlearning some of the constructs that we've built through life. And I actually remember a side anecdote. It was funny because my friend Alyssa Welch, I remember, she invited me one Sunday to go sleep over at her house. And her father, Ronnie Welch, was the minister of this Baptist church there. And we were watching the Sunday Mass, or they were, and Ronnie turns to me, and I was 9 years old at this time, mind you, and he turns to me, she's like, so Shamali, what religion are you? And I wanted the earth to swallow me in that moment because I was into yoga and Eastern philosophy, and I knew if I said that in that household, I would be like deemed crazy. So I, like, in a very small voice, I was like, I'm a Hindu. I'm sorry. And then he's like, interesting. And then his wife, Peggy, the next day at the rink, she comes up to my mom, and she's like, Sylvia, I just want you to know my family and I were praying for you. And we were like, wow. I mean, to this day, I was 9, and that story obviously stuck with me. I'm telling it at my senior year speech at UCLA. So, I mean, this really shows how as we go through life, we hold on to and latch on to these identities that aren't us. So in order to move forward and accept everyone, we need to unlearn these things. Which brings me to my next point. Several years ago, I went to India, and this Swami called Ritadvaja Maharaj, gave a beautiful story about religious biases and religious prejudices that happen. So he said that one time he was at this college campus, he was sitting on this grassy field meditating and praying, and far a little in the distance there was, those hyper extremists who preach everyone who doesn't follow my belief is gonna go to hell, and he formulated a whole gathering. The students started paying attention to him and being like, no, you're wrong. And then the very hyper extreme Christian saw the Maharaj sitting there and decided to target him. So he marches over there and he's like, you are follow a false religion and you're going to hell. And everyone, it became like a riot. And the Maharaj there just stayed very calm and very at peace, and he didn't engage in the man. And instead he started trying to preach love and openness. And the man, I don't think, fully accepted the Maharaj's beliefs, the Swami's beliefs, but he didn't fight back because he saw he wasn't getting any response. So he instead left him. But I think this is another story that illustrates these perceptions that we go through life affect and infiltrate every aspect, even when it comes to religion and how we discriminate against so many people of different religions just because we have been brought up in one religious path and see everyone else as being wrong. So I think if we unlearn some of those perceptions we have, we can more openly approach all sorts of people. This brings me to my third and final point, which is back from when I was a competitive figure skater. And I have 1 minute. A lot of times whenever you would learn bad techniques, you have to have a good solid foundation in order to approach any jumps or spins that you're going to do. So I remember my coach, I was trying to learn the hardest of the triple jumps, 3 rotations in the air, and he was telling me, your entire technique is wrong how you're approaching it, so you have to go back, relearn some of the basics in order to move forward. And I think this perfectly illustrates this point, how we have to relearn and reopen ourselves to life in order to move forward with an open perspective. And actually that Swami also told a beautiful story that illustrated this point, that he taught sitar lessons. And when this one kid came to him and said, how much for a sitar lesson? The Swami said, what's your background experience? And the kid said, well, I've had 3 years of experience, I want to just touch up. And the Maharaj said, the Swami said, okay, for you it'll be $50. Another kid came and he wanted also lessons, and he said, I have 0 experience, I just want to learn a little bit. And the Swami said, okay, for you it'll be $10. So the kid who had just said it was $50 said, but why for me it's more? And the Swami said, because for you will have to take the time to unlearn the things you learned in order to move forward with the proper technique. So in summary, I have showed you 3 reasons why we have to first go through, unlearn any bad technique, whether it's skating or religious perspectives, anything in life. We have to unlearn it before we can move forward with an open mind, an open heart, and embrace people from all aspects of life. So I hope, to tie it back to the beginning, I hope when you all move through life and approach people from different perspectives, which is going to be inevitable, I'm sure all of us in this room have a different background, I hope you can approach everyone with an open heart and an open mind and try to unlearn some of the social constructs that you've perceived and gained through life. Thank you.
Thank you. 752. Shama Lee, a really nice job. I thought that you attacked the problem by first telling us Gloria Steinem met this in the context of social constructs, and so you knew where this was coming from. And you clearly gave us 3 good examples of unlearning that were very pertinent and right on track. And so I like the Dallas, Texas, being bullied and all that stuff. That was good. And the Swami stuff was really good. And the figure skating, you had to rush through it a little bit to get it done because you were out of time. I wasn't giving you time. Just a summary conclusion and tie back to where you started, have kind of a beginning. What you're really talking about here is people develop schemas, that they filter the world through, and they need to learn to transcend their schemas and, develop and just see the world more freely. And I think that's kind of what you were getting at. Mm-hmm. So good job. Thank you.
She's great.
I see you as well. Coming for a title.
Okay,
Flora.
okay, you're a little close. Okay. Where are you? Where are you here?
Flora. Right on the bottom. Second to last. Right here.
Flora and fauna. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
What? I'm ready? Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Well, you're really into this. That's great. Okay. Okay, we're going to hear from Doris Mortman. And Doris said, until you make peace with who you are, you'll never be content with what you have. I'll repeat that. Until you make peace with who you are, you'll never be content with what you have. Get ready for you, Flora.
Awesome. Okay. So hello everyone. My name is Flora.
Hi, Flora.
Hello. So I know that Thanksgiving just happened this past week. So did anybody go home? Yeah. So we went home. Did you guys, for instance, eat a lot of food?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. That was like definitely my favorite part. And I know after I ate, I felt extremely satisfied and extremely content. Because like my tummy was really warm and it was filled with all this food, so I was like, yes, this is like what life is, food. And so I was like, I'm really content right now. But content, like what is content, right? So content, like I can be like content is being satisfied, with food in your tummy. Content can be having a place to sleep. But according to the dictionary, content means in a state of peaceful happiness. So it's like, okay, so peaceful happiness, when I was with that like meat and turkey in my stomach, I was peaceful already. But what does happiness really mean? Because happiness to you and happiness to me means something totally different. And I think by being able to understand happiness, we'll be able to learn who you are and what makes you happy, as well as move on to how to make you even more happy. Which leads me to today's speech about how I believe there are 3 reasons why, until you make peace with who you are, you can never be content with what you have. The first reason is because you first have to understand yourself and what happiness really means to you. The second reason is because life is really all about the unexpected. And the third reason is because at the end of the day, I believe it comes down to the attitude. And so for all of you who just came back from Thanksgiving and are in the mood of holidays and Christmas, don't zone off yet, because I believe that understanding happiness and understanding a more, theoretical way of approaching happiness might give you a different light, so that when you are really stressed for finals week, whether it's like this week or even next week, you'll be able to understand that that stress obviously is not good for you, but when you have a lot of stress, that can lead to, for instance, bad lifestyle habits such as smoking or alcohol, and therefore lead to cancer. But obviously we don't want to go there, so let's not go too far for now. So once again, there are 3 reasons why I believe this quote is true. So starting with the first reason, I believe that you really have to understand what happiness is. And not what happiness is for your neighbor or for your dog or for your cat, but what happiness is for you. And I think understanding what happiness means for you will allow you to make peace with who you are and then understand how you can obtain even bigger happiness. So I recently watched a movie. It was called The Intern. So it's different from The Internship, which is about 2 guys at Google. But The Intern it stars Robert De Niro as well as Anne Hathaway. I love both of the actors. So I was like, okay, let me give the movie a try. The movie is basically about a senior, so not senior like us, but senior who is senior in life. Robert De Niro, who plays the character of Ben. Ben enters a startup company of a fashion website with Anne Hathaway, whose role is Jules as the CEO. So he enters this company not knowing anything, but what he does know is what he brings him happiness. after living a whole long life of very fulfilled things with a very loving wife, he realized that what he loves to do is to learn different things, step out of his comfort zone. And because he was able to understand his happiness, he entered this new company wanting to learn. Although it was something completely not familiar with what he's used to, he wanted to go into that. And so by understanding his happiness, he was able to reach more happiness and ultimately help someone else. Which leads me to my second point. Happiness is not only about knowing who you are, but also understanding it's about what you don't know. And it's about what you cannot expect, which is the unexpected. So I know that a lot of us want to go into life thinking about the plans that we have, the organized things. You know, it's difficult to go like through a day sometimes for me without understanding exactly what I have to do and all the plans I have to make. But I know that most of the times, in fact, 6 out of the 7 days of my week never goes according to plan. Something always pops up, and I think, you know, Melissa was smiling back there. It's like, yeah, something always goes against your plan, and that's okay. And I think understanding that life is more about the expected, and the unexpected really can really bring you happiness, will allow you to be at peace with who you are, and then become further content. And so, further on, using the example from the movie The Intern, Anne Hathaway playing the role of Jules, she's this really successful CEO, and when she first heard about this senior program, she was like, yeah, no, I don't want seniors in life at my company because I don't feel like they are matched with our culture. But this unexpectedness, this unexpected program, bringing in unexpected interns, really gave her, not only her company, but also her, a new, different perspective in life, and brought her so much happiness that she was unable to obtain previously. Which leads me to my third point. So besides understanding your happiness, when you do understand your happiness, and when you are able to realize that it's more about the unexpected, the third point is really about attitude. So no matter what you do, no matter what you approach things, it's about the attitude that changes the outcome or changes even the process. So I think many of us have heard the phrase, when life gives you lemons, like, what do you do with it, right? There's a lot of different versions of it. It's like, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade out of it. But no matter what version it is, the moral of that quote is it's all about how you decide to phrase it, you know? When life throws you something, how do you face it? What type of attitude do you use to face that? So which leads me to another movie. It's probably one of my favorite movies of all time. It's called The Martian. It's about this guy who gets basically stranded on Mars. It's played by Matt Damon. It's a fantastic movie. But when you're stranded on Mars, when you're faced with absolutely nobody around you, no communication with anyone, how do you face that, right? It's all about the attitude that can rescue you and push you further. So in conclusion, there's 3 things which I believe will make you be at peace, but also allow you to be content with what you have. Because without understanding what makes you happy, you can never be content. Without understanding what you truly stand for, you can never be content. So I leave you with what I think is awesome, 5 ways to solve any problem. So the first way, really briefly, so the 5 ways to solve any problem. The first way is you can obviously solve the problem, right? So if it's like a test, you can go and do it, or if it's an essay, you can go and do it. The second way is that you can change how you feel about the problem. So instead of changing the problem, which you can't do, you can change how you feel about it. The third way, which I think is the most important, you can radically accept the problem. You can accept that you're not going to do well. You can accept that you're in a place that is not well. And then you can make a solution and be content with the solution if you're not happy with where you're currently at. And then the last 2, we don't really want to know, or we don't really want to follow, because it's staying miserable and making it worse. So hopefully you guys won't have to resort to those 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Flora. This was a very complicated analysis, and I think you really tried to get at the elements of the saying, which had 2 parts. And so until you make peace with who you are, and that who you are, you know, is tricky, because it's a little different for everybody, isn't it? And that whole idea of coming to accept yourself as you are, or as you find yourself, is tricky business. The rest of the stuff is playing catch up. You'll never be content with what you have. So I liked your 3 points. I thought they were distinct, and I thought they worked. I really loved that movie, The Intern. It was a sleeper. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be awful.
Yeah.
Robert De
I thought so too.
Niro and Anne Hathaway. I used to not like Anne Hathaway, and they were really a marvelous pair in this movie, and it was a very well written, well acted movie, and but they really taught each other some great lessons about who each other happened to be and some old-fashioned values for each other, so that was good. I liked your rush ending of how to solve the problem in 5 easy steps, too, so that was pretty good. So you got at this, it was a little bit wordy and a little bit over time, but you did a good job. Thank you. And have you done all your speeches?
Yeah. Anything off of those boards?
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah. Okay.
Angelica's offered let me go just because I have class at 4. So
Oh,
just,
yeah.
is that okay?
Free country. People are dying in Iraq and Syria, so you have freedom. Enjoy it while you can. Tell me where you are on this page.
The Black Lucy.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, I'm gonna have you. Okay, this is a long one, so.
Should I just read it from that paper?
Yeah. Okay, it's the second Joan Baez.
Okay.
Okay, so Lucy, Angelica, and then Bela. Right. Is that it for everybody? You can do it after 4 or after? Okay, good.